It must be cool, huh? To have the whole world look at you like that. You know, Spider-Man saved my life one time. Out of all the people in the whole city, he saved me. He said he needed me.
That must be a good feeling.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Every Marvel Movie Ever. I'm your host, Gabe Thomas. With me, as always, is your co-host, Francisco Alcala. Today we're talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which we have previously talked about as Franny's favorite Marvel film of all time. Franny,
I'm so excited to talk about it. I have so much to say about it. It's
take
my
it
favorite
away.
movie. This movie is horrible.
Okay, yes.
This is
It
not
is.
a great movie.
Yep, no, it's not a great movie.
I assume most people already know that it's not a great movie. It kind of has a reputation for not being the best Spider-Man movie ever.
Yes, it's probably,
The worst one.
yes, exactly, probably the worst Spider-Man movie ever.
Like,
I think
by
everybody
far.
agrees. It's not good.
There are good scenes. I can't even say there's like good parts of it. There are good like specific scenes. But then again, every scene transition is like you're watching a different movie because there are probably like 10 movies going on at the same time.
I should preface this by saying, and I know you know this, Franny, you
Do
and
I?
my father have given me shit for this all morning.
Yep.
I
Gabe
enjoy this movie. I am a
This-
defender. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not good. This is a horrible, horrible movie. But it's such tasty trash.
So as usual, this is going to be Gabe trying to defend the movie.
Oh no, I'm not defending this movie.
Mm,
I am going to talk a lot of there is not good stuff in this movie. There is good stuff. There's limited amounts. This is a bad
You're
film.
gonna
This
you're gonna
is so bad.
You're going to try to pretend you're not defending it.
Okay, yes, that's probably
Meanwhile, I'll just complain about everything that I didn't like about it like I usually do.
right. Right. Okay, Franny. Well, why don't you start out with some positives before we get into hours and hours of negatives?
The suit is probably the best it's ever been in any Spider-Man movie.
Yes, the eyes are
It's-
so big. They're
It's
so
not
big.
it's not sweaty like the
No,
last one.
Exactly.
It actually looks like it's cloth. Like it's not like some skin tight suit. Like when he's like jumping off buildings and swinging and stuff, you can actually see it like acting like cloth.
There's that moment at the start of the film where it's like the spider logo and that starts rippling, and he's falling down to the city, and that is just such great Spider-Man stuff.
All of the swinging is pretty great.
I think
For the most
suit
part, the
in-
Spider-Man stuff is really good.
and Spider-Man himself is very good. He's got lots of great quips. This is probably the quippier than he's ever been, maybe. You
Except
know?
for when he overdoes it and creates like a traffic jam at the very beginning of the movie because
Right.
he didn't stop Rhino and instead was knocking on his window and being like, "Ha ha ha, you look funny."
That's true. He did say that. Spider-Man is canceled. We've determined in this movie that Spider-Man
He's
is
a
definitely-
fraud.
We'll get to that. We'll get to all of the chaos. Yes, the suit is my favorite suit anyway. I love how huge the eyes are. I think the emblem is really great. My favorite swinging and climbing in any of these movies. And again, I'm not just talking about the Raimi movies. I'm talking about the MCU movies too. I think that this uses it the best, especially the swinging. The swinging in this, I've always thought that the swinging in this is probably what they based the PS4 stuff off of. You know, the way he moves and like the jumps
Yeah.
he'll do, and
There's
He
definitely a
pulls over the
couple like a
buildings
couple
and stuff.
jumps that he did that I recognize that they pretty much just kind of shoved directly into the game.
Andrew Garfield, when he's getting really emotional at the
He's
end of this movie,
Slightly better in this movie than he was last time.
he's really
Not putting on a weird accent this time.
I think at the end of this movie, once all the terrible things have happened to him, he gives a really good, believable, emotional performance. You know, when what happens. Do we have to start saying spoilers yet? I don't know. Obviously, spoilers.
Gwen Stacy is in this movie. Everyone knows what happens to Gwen Stacy. That's from like 40 years ago.
When Gwen Stacy gets annihilated,
either her spine or her skull gets annihilated, whichever one you prefer.
right? Yeah, when that happens, and of course we'll talk more about that. But that scene is really great when he swings down and he's like freaking out about her. That is a really great moment. That's how that moment should be presented. I think
If we're
all
only
that's
talking
good.
about after she dies,
right, that's what I mean.
yeah, there's one very specific thing that kind of ruins
Franny,
that entire scene.
We have to talk about the positives.
I
want to
know.
build them up before we talk about how bad
It's
everything is.
foreshadowing, Gabe, just like this movie loves to do.
Oh my
Lots
God,
of
the
foreshadowing.
fucking speech. Whatever. The USB stick.
If I die, that's okay.
If you ever stop being Spider-Man, it's okay if you keep being Spider-Man. Emma Stone, I mean, obviously her and Andrew Garfield were dating in real life. I like their chemistry. As much as that scene is fucking ruined by the revelation of him stalking her, I like the scene where they're like eating ice cream together or whatever, you know, when he walks through the street and then they're talking after they've broken up. That's a good scene, I think. I think the scenes between them are cute and fun, just like they were in the first movie.
Some of it feels a little forced to me, but at the same time, I think that's kind of how it's meant to be. Watching it just makes you feel really uncomfortable because it just feels really weird. But at the same time, I feel like that might be kind of the point.
I think it's probably because it feels genuine.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, these people are actually together.
Like it feels a little
intimate.
forced, but at the same time, I think it might just be because it's super genuine, so then
Right.
it just starts to feel really off.
I don't know if I would say force. I'd say it's like it's
Force isn't the right
it's
word,
intimate in a way that usually
yeah, it's
that
just
kind of
it's
thing
like
isn't.
it's like ever so slightly uncomfortable.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I see it as being a plus that's more believable than, you know, it's not a movie romance. It feels
Yeah,
more like a real world thing.
I don't know how I necessarily feel about it. I don't know if I like it or if I don't like it, but it's just kind of a thing.
Right. I think it's a positive. I like any scene with Peter and Aunt May. Whenever they have their cute little, you know, the laundry scene, or the scene where with the chimney.
What happened to your face? It's filthy.
It is?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, I was cleaning the chimney.
we have no chimney.
What?
I think both of those are
We don't
fun.
have a chimney.
What?
What?
Yeah, those are fun scenes. You know, that's a fun little Spider-Man Aunt May dynamic.
Aunt May is great in this movie.
She gives a great performance when she's talking about Peter's dad, as terrible as the fucking content is. She's really good. I would say Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield, and Sally Field all give great performances, and everyone around them doesn't.
Oh, Jamie Foxx. We'll get to you.
Okay, well, this has maybe my favorite Spider-Man moment. It's such a brief thing. It's definitely in the top, 3 on-screen Spider-Man moments.
Pretty much every interaction with that one kid.
Right. Well, especially at the start when that kid's getting beat up, and Spider-Man swoops down and he saves him, webs the wind turbine back together, and he walks him home. That is Spider-Man.
This is a wind turbine. You make this? No way. This is amazing.
It's good as new, right?
I'll walk you home.
What's your name?
Jorge.
Jorge? I'm Spider-Man.
Looking out for the little guy, which is something we don't really see in any movie except for this one. Usually he's just worried about the big threats, and of course he is in this movie, but at the start he's solving littler crimes. And I think that is the strongest stuff in the movie, when it's not huge CGI battle, which we always talk about. Last week we were talking about how great it was that we didn't have to deal with that with Superman the movie, but this week, absolutely huge CGI arena. That is
The Itsy Bitsy Spider.
I hate this song.
I don't know who thought that was a good idea. We'll get to it. Positives.
how many times have you said we'll get to it yet?
There's
We're gonna have a counter.
look, yeah. We're trying to stay positive or whatever, but there's
all
a
the
lot
positives have a negative.
Yeah,
to
all of
them.
the positives have negatives strongly attached to them.
Are those all the positives?
Um
I like the Gwen scene at the end. I like Peter and Gwen. I like Aunt May. I like the costume and the swinging. I love sick Spider-Man. I love when he stops that robbery and he's sick and he's got the
I'm
scarf and the beanie.
Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man, and you get the.
Yeah.
That's fun, you know. Probably because that feels like it would be in a Raimi movie. Not so much the sick part, but just
Yeah.
the weird interaction
Yeah.
after Spider-Man has
Weird
been on the
background
scene.
characters.
Right. There's that instance of it, which is fun. I mostly like this because this is batshit insane. This is a fucking crazy movie. I kept saying that. I kept being like, because we just watched this together. I should say that.
Yeah,
We literally watched
just
this, like,
finished.
5 minutes ago. Franny came over very early because it is a very long movie
I mean, very, very early for
for me, for quarantine.
yeah, for quarantine
early.
standards. I came here at 11.
Right.
This movie is incredibly long.
I ate breakfast watching this movie.
Yep, and this movie is so long that we're done at 2.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it felt so much longer. We got halfway through the movie, and I went to the bathroom and then came back. And I was like, how much longer of this do we have left? And Gabe checked. There was a full hour left.
Yeah, that's
and it had
true.
already felt like it was close to the end.
See, I don't think it felt long for me, but I've seen this movie so many. For a movie that is so bad, I have seen this so many times. I can recite most of this movie back.
Because it's actually your favorite movie.
No, it is so bad, but I've seen it a lot. When I got this DVD from Target, this very DVD that's right on this table, I watched it like twice a day for like a week. I would
Is
watch
this
it
another-
alone, I would watch it with friends, I would watch it all the time.
Is this just a thing that you do with, like, mediocre or bad movies?
It's a thing I used to do constantly.
Because you did this with Justice League.
I did, and I saw Iron Man 3 like 40 times in a weekend or whatever. But yeah, this is a movie I would watch over and over again, and I didn't see a single problem with this when I first saw it, because I was 10, Spider-Man was there, he looked better than ever, he was swinging around, I thought it was great. I saw this in the theater, I was so excited, I got to see it opening day, I saw it with a really close friend of mine at the time, and that whole day at school, we were just talking about all the stuff we wanted to happen in the movies. We were watching the trailers over and over again, so we knew some of the dialogue before we even saw the movie. Although there was a lot in the trailers that was not in the film. There was a lot of stuff that was cut out of this.
Rhino.
Yeah, well, Rhino and
That's more misleading than actually.
yeah, than cut
yeah.
out. That's definitely in there. It's definitely
Yeah.
the Rhino. Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that. It's probably fine. Oh, whatever.
What, you think you're
Um,
gonna get canceled for
no,
doing a Rhino
No,
impression?
whatever. That is what he says. He goes, "Oh, Spider-Man!
So scared.
I am so scared." Yeah, but so yeah, no, we were so excited, and we saw this, and we loved it. There was not a problem in the world. This was our favorite movie ever. Because I think when you're really young, every movie you see is your favorite movie.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Like
'Cause-
that's definitely a thing.
That's just how being a kid works. Everything is your favorite when you experience it for the first time because
Right.
you don't have any standards yet.
Exactly.
Your
yeah.
brain doesn't have the power to differentiate between what's good and what's bad.
True.
Even though I think the first time I saw this, like, I think even then I still felt like indifferent. I was just like, it was fine,
Yeah.
which is still not at all how I feel now, but
This was the first Spider-Man movie I ever got to see in the movie theater. I think that also probably added up to it, and all the hype. Like the first time I saw this was completely driven by hype. It's like when the Phantom Menace came out and everybody loved it, and then it wasn't until like a year later where everybody thought back and went, "That was like really bad." Like all of that was bad and made no sense. Positives first. Are we done with positives?
think
Did
we
talk
were-
about all of them?
I think we already went over our 5 positives.
Oh, okay. Well, if I'm talking about the first time I ever saw this, just one more thing. While we were at school talking about this movie, we were talking about how, like, oh man, because we knew, and this is the weird thing that I loved it so much, because even when I was 10, I was still pretty into movies, like more than anyone else my age was, so it's weird that I thought this was so great still, but, we knew how the studios worked. Like, we knew that Fox had X-Men, Sony had Spider-Man, all that stuff. But we were talking about, like, oh man, wouldn't it be great if at the end of this movie, there you see, like, the X, and then he goes to the X-Men Academy. He goes to the X-Men Academy for no reason. It's just, like, something that we said as 10-year-olds, It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. We were just like, oh, wouldn't it be great if he went to the X-Men school? And obviously, I would never tell that story because it's not interesting. But the interesting part of that, the post-credit scene of this movie was a clip for Days of Future Past. No one talks about this.
What?
So we waited through the credits. At the end of this movie, the X was on the screen and we were flipping out because we were so confused. Like the most ridiculous hypothetical that we said literally happened, but then it was just a clip from Days of Future Past. And that's not on the DVD or anything. That was just in the theater. And I guess there was some cross-promotion between Sony and Fox, but no one talks about that.
That seems like a really weird thing to put. Why wouldn't you put that, like, with the commercials
That should
at
be
the
a
beginning?
bigger deal.
That too.
Right?
Like, that's...
yeah, but no, you're right. Actually, what you just said, you're right. Because sometimes movies would be like, okay, well, the first time the trailers, I mean, more before, YouTube became big.
Yeah.
But it's like, first time you ever see the trailer for this.
it's like a
in
world
front
premiere of a trailer.
in front of this movie. Yeah, like I know Mission Impossible 4 had the first 10 minutes of The Dark Knight Rises before it. Like you could go and see the first 10 minutes before the movie started. So, but yeah, no, this is a weird thing that Fox Marvel and Sony Marvel like crossed over for this, and like that should have been a huge thing that people talked about, but no one really did.
Probably because nobody... Or, well... No.
This movie made bank. This movie made like
Oh no, I was
$700
gonna say that
million.
nobody saw it. I was gonna say that nobody would sit the credits, but this was already
This was
in
past-
phase. Yeah, this
past
is in phase 2
Yeah.
of the MCU, so people definitely knew that there would probably be something at the end, even though there wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't, but there was, but it was nothing. But oh my, we were just so fucking shocked because that could have been anything, but it was nothing. Like it was so nothing. Man, yeah, that was a huge.
I can't believe the
disappointment.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 pranked you as 10-year-olds.
It really fucking did. Yeah, no, I've never ever had a vessel to tell that story, so now I do. I think
Well,
I
now it's out
probably-
there.
And then I had it on DVD. I watched it over and over again, and I still thought it was great. I don't know when I realized it was bad.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how many times did you have to watch it to realize that this isn't a good movie?
I don't know. I honestly don't remember. But eventually it hit me, and I was like, "Oh, this is so bad." I
Get
couldn't
the
afford
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
To see the scene where Peter Parker's dad
Oh my
survives a fucking plane crash.
God. Okay, so the time has come. We've held off for almost 19 minutes now. Let's talk about all the bad.
Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about the actual movie.
Keep in mind, I still enjoy this, and I always will. But let's rip into this bitch
It's
right now.
Only enjoyable in the sense that you can tear it apart and that you can laugh at how bad it is.
Let's.
I'm
come
still gonna complain
together.
about it.
Let's come together, Franny, and rip it apart.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Are we gonna go through the movie in order,
No,
or are we
we-
just gonna go through like
Well,
stream of consciousness, whatever terrible
That's-
things come
That's how
out?
the show works.
Yeah.
Let's
all right.
start though at the beginning. Let's start with Richard Parker, since you just brought up his dad in the plane crash.
This is the first of many movies that are packed into this one movie. This is Mission Impossible.
Meets the Bourne Identity. Meets Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That's something that we noticed that I've never heard anyone bring up. That movie is all espionage. This came out the next month, and then there's a bunch of espionage stuff.
Yeah,
in it.
there are a lot of highly likely unintentional similarities between this movie and Winter Soldier.
just light thematic stuff. you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, the Bourne influence is probably the biggest one. This movie starts just like the first Amazing Spider-Man movie starts, where it's Peter's dad, well, not when they're like playing hide and seek. That one you see it from Peter's perspective. Apparently, right before Peter found his dad at the start of that movie, he was leaving a message for his son in the future. Or I guess
Not
for
for his
anyone
son,
in the future.
It was just for someone.
To expose Osborn, I guess.
Yeah, like whoever found his weird Theodore Roosevelt train.
We'll get there. The tagline to this episode is
We'll get there.
So Richard and Mary Parker had to leave Peter when he was a small child because I guess they were making like chemical weapons at Oscorp using Richard's research, probably with Kurt Connors, who's like never brought up in this, only vaguely about the lizard, but they never talk of Richard Parker never brings him up. But apparently his work was going to be used to make biological weapons, and he was like, fuck that, I'm leaving. And so they were going to kill him, so he had to get away. So they're on a private plane somehow. I don't know who's paying for that plane. They're not rich. I don't understand. Anyway, they're on that plane, and I guess the co-pilot is evil and wants to kill Richard Parker. But basically, he's able to upload his file on his Sony Vaio, which is a 2014 computer, even though that takes place in like 1996, right? Like when Peter Parker would have been 18 years old.
Also, I'm pretty sure no plane has
maybe
connection to
early
Wi-Fi,
2000s.
but
Not then.
just connects an Ethernet cable to his 2014 laptop to upload his secret files on Oscorp.
Just to a train, I guess. Just to the bunker.
to his secret President Roosevelt train.
In case anyone finds it, because I guess he left his briefcase and the calculator with the coins on purpose. We'll get there.
And left it to his son, so that hopefully he would find his President Roosevelt train.
Well, he didn't leave it to him. He just finds it in the attic in the first movie, remember? And then Ben Parker's like, oh, that's your dad's briefcase.
Still
I
stupid.
guess he left it. And that's the briefcase that Mary Parker sold him when they met. Remember, Ben tells that story. What the fuck? There's so many layers to this, it blows my mind. Anyway, not in a good way. That's like something I would say when talking about like a David Lynch film. Like, there's so many layers to this. I mean, so many layers,
deep layers to this
so many
movie.
layers of stupidity and just awful, awful filmmaking. Anyway, the opening of this movie, they're killed in this airplane in the most ridiculous spectacle way. One, no one cares about what happened to Peter Parker's parents. Two, no one cares about what happened to Peter Parker's parents. Three, why Why, Franny? Why were they killed in this huge plane crash where there's like shooting going on? He
Yeah.
blows out the airplane window and the airplane rips apart and he's being strangled with the fucking safety belt. What happens?
So Peter's mom is shot, and Peter's dad fights the co-pilot. While the actual pilot is dead, and the plane is nosediving, like straight into the ocean. So the co-pilot starts to strangle Richard Parker with a seatbelt, and he's able to get the gun out of the co-pilot's hand
He
and
blows
decides,
the window out.
yeah, the best course of action is to shoot out the falling plane's windows so that the co-pilot will fall out. So it's assumed that Richard Parker would just he doesn't get himself out of the seatbelt. So
He's strangled to death in an airplane that's crashing into the ocean.
Yep. And there's a deleted scene where he somehow survives that.
So that would be canon at one point.
At one
Even
point,
if it's not in the movie, it was going to be.
At one point, he was supposed to somehow survive through that. Now, I don't know if this was just at a different point in the writing process where this scene happened differently.
Or you think that didn't exist until after Winter Soldier when they saw it and went, shit! Wait, people love that. That's 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's
shoot this a month before the movie comes out.
That's a conspiracy, but it could have totally happened.
No, I'm sure that was probably just at a different point where that scene didn't exist.
Hopefully, maybe.
But for these two things to exist at the same time is horrible. Even with that scene existing at all, and how that being the movie starts.
That's the first thing that happens.
Like you hear the plane crash or whatever, and the screen like goes to black.
And then it's Spider-Man.
And then it opens up to Spider-Man free falling.
And it's like, oh, the
Yep.
music's back. It's great. It's Spider-Man. But what the fuck just happened? Like, it's trying to completely distract you from what just happened with something that you actually want. It's like, Spider-Man. Why? Just because of the train later. That's just set up for the train.
It's
There's
set
no
up for
reason
the
that to
train.
happen. There's no reason for... This is like in Batman v Superman when Thomas Wayne tries to, like, fight the mugger. Like, when he's... That's not the thing. They're supposed to die tragically. Thomas Wayne isn't supposed to be a ballroom brawler. Sorry, barroom brawler. Ballroom dancer. A ballroom brawler, Franny. Okay, let me just say this is going to be a very long episode.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
We took like 10 minutes describing the first scene, and that is not the craziest thing that happens.
I think this is going to be the most in-depth episode we've ever done, and it's just to shit on a movie that everyone knows is already, like, garbage.
My garbage.
Yep, it is
Franny.
Gabe's garbage. He's
But-
the only one that will defend it.
It's true. Well, again,
No, I'm sure there's people that actually
Not
enjoy
here
this
to
movie,
defend.
and that's fine.
I
But-
enjoy it, but it's fucking awful.
You're wrong.
I know.
Everything that happens after that is okay.
All the Spider-Man stuff is
Yeah,
fun.
all the Spider-Man stuff is
Rhino
fun.
underwear is fun.
Okay.
bad, it's
yeah,
really
let's
bad.
talk about Rhino next.
You want to? Well, let's save that for the end, just like they did. We'll talk
Well,
about
should
all
we-
the. We should talk about
before the
characters-
suit.
Characters in chunks. We should do. I think. Maybe we should talk about Electro.
Okay.
Jamie Foxx.
So
Franny.
Jamie Foxx is probably one of the worst parts of this movie, in my opinion.
which is sad because I like him in a lot of other stuff.
It's
Especially
very sad.
Baby Driver. He's so good in that movie. He is like a different actor.
In this he's not Jamie Foxx. I
so
really
hammy.
like him in in pretty much everything else that he does. This movie was not his best at all.
There are so many Oscar winners in this cast, and I think all of them should have their Oscars. I kept saying that.
Yeah,
in the movie.
every
All
time
of them-
something really dumb would happen involving an Oscar-winning actor, Gabe would just be like, you know what, just take it back. They got their Oscars after, but just revoke their Oscars.
I think everyone's Oscar should have been taken away. I really do. I think that if you do something like this, it should be taken away. Just take
just
it.
blacklisted from the Oscars.
Hopefully, I wish. I like a lot of these people, but god damn, are they bad in this
yeah,
movie?
they're not.
Especially
great.
Jamie Foxx. He's just so. Jamie Foxx isn't even hammy. He's just like he thinks he's in a different movie. I think, but also he's in blue makeup. So they use the ultimate Electro look. I was gonna say Mysterio. Ultimate Electro look
I feel
from,
like that's
the
not a
Ultimate
good look.
comics.
That's not a good look, though.
No, it's bad. No, it's bad. It's bad in the comics. It's bad in the movie. It's just a bad look in general. I guess in this movie, you can't really have. They want to be more serious, so you can't have, yellow and green spandex. You can't have a Green Goblin mask, even though that's what we want.
They could have figured out how to do it somehow.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
course they
PS4 figured out how to do it.
Well,
but
that's
a
not what
good
I want
good piece
either.
of media.
I mean, that's a
though.
good game, but that's not what I want either. I don't want those costumes. I don't want
Yeah,
mechanized
no,
costumes.
I'm just saying that like there are ways to incorporate
Sure.
like the original costumes and make them not look absolutely ridiculous.
Right. He has the yellow and green tones in that, but he also has that's like a mix of the two. I think.
Yeah.
I think all of those are a mix of the Ultimate Comics and then the original comics, which is definitely better than going straight Ultimate Comics and calling it the Amazing Spider-Man, which is not the Ultimate Spider-Man at all. It's the polar opposite. And it's okay to use designs from different runs of comics, but I don't like the Ultimate designs because they're all so edgy. I like the look of Ultimate Spider-Man himself. I like the look of Ultimate Black Cat. And sometimes Ultimate Venom. Everyone else can fuck off.
Speaking of Black Cat.
Not yet.
Yeah.
We'll
just,
get there.
Just putting a pin in it so that we
Oh,
can bring it up later.
Do you know how many grenades are out right now?
Oh, yeah,
there's so many. We're
there's
just
so
trying
many.
to stop all of these fuses from happening
Yep.
right now.
We're gonna
We're gonna blow up.
No, there's gonna be so many things that we need to like mention later because we're already on like we're already talking about something. But we're just gonna forget to bring up something, and then like the day before this episode goes out, you're gonna message me and you're gonna be like, "We didn't talk about Black Cat."
So first, before he's Ultimate Comics Electro, he's Max Dillon.
His introduction isn't terrible.
His
That's about
introduction
it.
is good.
You're not a nobody. You're somebody. Like that. All right, listen to me. Now I need you. You're my eyes and ears out here. All right?
All right.
I'll stay out there.
And he builds up his confidence, and he's like, "I need you out here," and he leaves.
And then he becomes super obsessive over Spider-Man.
I always wondered about this movie if he was obsessed with Spider-Man before that happened, and that just made him more obsessed, or if he was always obsessed. I don't know.
I think it was before, because even like when Spider-Man saves him, he seems super excited that Spider-Man saved him. But then again, I feel like that could just kind of be anybody would be very excited that they just got saved by Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, and you probably won't remember this because I don't know how well you remember Batman Forever, but
Not very.
his story is the exact same as Edward Nygma's story, where Edward Nygma is obsessed with Batman. He has like a shrine of Batman stuff, or I don't remember if it's shrine of Batman stuff, but basically he's obsessed with Bruce Wayne, and he has like that invention. It's like the TV helmet thing, and he's like, "Bruce Wayne, here you go. Oh man, I'm so excited to show you my invention." And Bruce Wayne's like, "Oh, we can't do this. We're cutting funding or whatever," which is a little different. But then he's obsessed with Bruce Wayne and all that stuff, and he's got the same like dingy lair, and he goes crazy, and he's like, "Oh, well, you denied me this, so now I hate you," whatever. So it's the same exact plot,
Yeah.
where it's a weird obsessive guy who's freaking out over the superhero or alter ego. But either way, it's very similar, and I'll be able to think of better examples once we get to our Batman Forever episode, which is long way away. But one day,
We'll get there.
we'll get there. He has the gap in his teeth, and he has
That's a very important detail,
It
by the
really
way,
is.
because it'll come back later.
he has the weird hair. He's so fucking weird. Ryan from The Office is his boss. And he's Alistair Smythe, which is a comic character. And he's there, and he's like, "Oh, Max, you know what? It's your birthday. But you gotta stay behind to do electrical stuff." He says Spider-Man's coming to his birthday party, and he's in the elevator with Gwen Stacy, and she's like just broken up with Peter. That's a whole other thing. And she's like, "Oh man, Max, oh, what's going on, Max?" And he's like, "Oh, you remember my name."
Yeah,
And
he has a very big thing about people knowing his name.
should we talk about the origin of Electro?
Yeah.
He falls into a tank of electric eels. They all bite him. He becomes Electro. It fixes the gap in his teeth.
Which, by the way, Oscorp just has like 2 tanks of electric eels just in their basement.
Genetically modify electric eels that'll turn you into Electro.
And
They give
fix-
him
and-
electricity powers.
And give you perfect teeth.
So he should just become a dentist. Because now he has this, like, amazing cure. So I don't know why he has
But now
this.
he's blue.
Yeah, now he's blue, and dubstep follows him everywhere he goes.
Yep, everywhere he goes, there's dubstep. I mean,
That's the sound of his electricity.
that's what
apparently.
happens later on.
But also there's lyrics to some of his dubstep.
Yeah.
which we've made fun of in a previous episode a long time ago, or I brought it up. His weird song that's like, "I hate Spider-Man. I'm gonna kill Spider-Man." It's so bad. It's Jamie Foxx doing the lyrics.
Is it?
Yeah, I think
Oh
he
my
has like
God.
a platinum record or something. I think he's like, because he's a rapper too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he was a rapper, but I didn't know he.
Yeah.
How much money did he get paid to do this movie? Because this is like humiliating.
Yep. Well, he was in Django Unchained working with Quentin Tarantino 2 years before this, and now he's in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Did he do anything after this?
Yeah, he was in Baby Driver.
Okay,
And he's
good.
incredible in that movie. So
Good.
luckily,
I'm
this
glad.
didn't-
I'm glad he moved on
This
from
didn't
this.
ruin him.
I feel like it could have.
Oh, it could have. Yeah, I don't know the last time I saw Paul Giamatti after this.
Remember when we were watching this movie and you were like, "Why isn't Venom in this movie?"
Well, no, I was saying why why can't Venom be in
Yeah.
this universe? He could be. I don't know why he couldn't be. Could be
Yeah,
technically.
he could be. So do you want to move on to the scene where he first talks with Spider-Man?
Yeah, in Times Square.
Yep.
There's good and bad in that scene. There's a lot of bad, but then there's
I do-
Firefighter Spider-Man, which is awesome and a great image.
I do like that, even though, again, it's kind of just him fucking around instead of stopping destruction. Because he's
Yeah.
taking the time to put on to find a fireman's hat and put it on,
Yeah.
and then get the hose instead of just stopping Electro from literally murdering people.
No, he definitely should have stopped that.
Yes, he fucks
He
around
should
a
not
little
have
bit in this
stopped
movie.
To put on the fireman's hat. I think
But
we agree.
it
But
is
it's
a
great.
funny image.
It's very funny.
I do kind of like Spider-Man like trying to talk him down.
right.
I think that's pretty good.
he's still my favorite Spider-Man. I know he's in bad movies, but I love Andrew
He's
Garfield as Spider-Man.
he's a great Spider-Man.
He's got the
but-
perfect balance of quips to like, he's got a reality to him when he's trying to talk
I don't know.
to
In this
people
one, it seems a
seriously.
little off balance, but not too terribly to like make him worse.
Between the stuff in this where he's talking to Electro and the stuff where he's talking to Kid, and then in the first movie with the cars.
Yeah, he
He's a-
definitely he makes up for it.
Yes,
he's
I think so.
definitely he's a great as Spider-Man specifically.
Right. Yeah. There's some weird Peter Parker stuff in there.
There's a lot of weird Peter Parker stuff in both of these movies. Like him making out with Gwen Stacy at graduation on stage in front of his entire graduating class.
because he's so cool.
Yeah, because he's so cool.
He's such-
also, he showed up to his own graduation
In a-
late.
And
'Cause
in
he-
a Thrasher t-shirt.
Yep, because he's just that cool. Because everyone knows that Peter Parker is just that cool. But everything else after that with Electro is horrible. He does Itsy Bitsy Spider dubstep at the end of the movie fighting Spider-Man. That is horrible.
It's horrible.
They're torturing him with electricity at one point, but he seems like he's actually getting hurt by it, so I don't really understand how
Okay.
his powers work.
I think I have an explanation for that. I think I know what's going on.
Okay, Gabe. What is your enormous brain explanation for
Well, you
how
shouldn't-
Electro can be hurt by
the
electricity?
thing is, I'm not saying that there being a reason for this makes the movie smart. I'm saying it's terrible filmmaking for me to have to do active detective work to figure out what's going on. So they have the tank of water under him, right?
So you think he's like been dunked in water
I think
and then
yeah, well, he has because he's like soaking wet.
Yeah.
And so I think they put him in the water and that like submerges him, probably powers him down. So when they bring him back up, the electricity, he's more just human than electricity. He has to like power back up
okay,
because
yeah,
they're keeping
I
him
guess,
away from electricity.
I guess that makes
Again,
sense.
I shouldn't have to think about it so much to figure that out.
But then again, also later in the movie when Harry goes to go recruit Electro and he tases him and he doesn't get hurt by that, even though he's in the exact same place.
I know
So
it's bad.
also, Electro at one point gets like way more powerful, like once he gets let out by Harry. But I feel like that doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes more sense once he like pretty much takes all of the power out of the Oscorp building.
Right, exactly, and it makes sense since he was an electrical engineer that he would know,
Yeah.
where to go.
But like immediately when he gets let out by Harry, he can just phase in and out of existence.
And outlets.
And he can just go into outlets, which is something he had never done before.
And I'm okay with.
oh,
going,
and he has the Force.
and he can fly.
And he can
Not
fly.
with electricity. He can just fly.
Yeah, that was something that happened in the first fight with Spider-Man.
Yeah, in that Times Square sequence.
Yeah.
Again, that scene has good and bad. I like when
I
he.
can't fly.
I don't know. I like when he has when Spidey has like one broken web shooter, and so he has to like use 3 webs at once.
Yeah.
I don't know how he could see all those things. That's
Yeah,
how
I'm not
spider
sure
sense
that's
works.
we're not gonna have an episode 1 rant about how spider sense works like
Was
Gabe did,
there-
but
Even, I guess there was spider sense in the first Amazing Spider-Man movie.
was there?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Neither can I. It's a forgettable movie.
Yeah. Edit point here. Yeah, he definitely had spider sense in the first movie. Remember the subway scene past Gabe, you fucking idiot? That one's very mediocre, and this is very bad.
That one's definitely a lot more boring. This one's
Well, I asked you during the movie, which would you rather watch? I
This
would
one,
rather watch
absolutely.
this one any day.
because this one is way more fun to make fun of.
Yes, I would much rather. I think this is much funnier. This is nothing but comic book bullshit.
Yep.
You know, it really is.
Spider-Man blows up Electro at the end of the movie.
Yeah, he does.
Like straight up just murders him.
He does.
So-
He uses the webs as like a shield in front of. No, he doesn't use it as a shield.
No, he takes it.
the full force of the electricity.
Okay, so Spider-Man is
Bullshit.
apparently invulnerable to electricity. He took like the full force of Electro's powers directly to the chest and didn't even flinch.
Eventually, he was able to like reverse it and shoot it back at him, and then he absorbs all the electricity. and he
Excuse
explodes.
me, Spider-Man. Your heart should have stopped almost immediately because you would have gone into shock.
He has super endurance, but not like that.
Yeah, he has like heightened endurance. He's not invincible.
The thing about Spider-Man fighting Electro is usually he just has to jump around to avoid the electricity. He shouldn't be taking the electricity and then be fine. To have another fight with Green Goblin immediately afterwards.
All of his organs should be vaporized.
Right, that's bullshit. That does not make any fucking sense in any world. I don't understand who thought that would be okay.
But no, fuck it. He blows up Electro because he has to win.
He's not Thor.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
he
he's
can't
not-
take the force of an entire star or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
They looked very similar.
They did look similar. Can we just finish talking about Peter's dad so we don't have to talk about it again?
Sure, we can go to that.
Alright.
So
His dad has secret subway tokens to President Roosevelt's secret underground train hidden in a calculator that Peter throws at a wall. If he didn't throw that calculator at the wall, he never would have gotten this coin.
Peter goes a little crazy, trying to figure out, I think, where his dad is. He starts hanging up pictures of
like the fucking Zodiac killer or something.
yeah, it's
People
like
solving the Zodiac murder.
it's that and pictures of like himself
and Gwen.
and Gwen. I don't know how Gwen is involved in finding his dad, but he does the weird like red tape thing, like along his entire wall.
It's like
and-
Pepe Sylvia, pretty much.
Yeah, Pepe Sylvia.
Your box is full of Pepe.
But eventually he gets super frustrated about something and he throws a calculator against the wall. And
His dad's old calculator.
yep, out comes a bunch of super secret tokens. That how does he figure out that they have something to do with the Roosevelt train thing? Oh wait, okay.
There's like a document in the briefcase or something.
Yeah, so earlier on in the movie he figures out something about Roosevelt and he couldn't figure out what it meant.
And that's what we see on his dad's computer at the start of the movie. It says like Project Roosevelt. or
Yeah.
something.
And
It's not
then
really a project. It's just a train.
on the tokens I think on the tokens they have something about Roosevelt and he puts together that they're like Metro tokens or whatever. So he on Google he looks up,
Instead of Bing.
yeah, it's like he puts in like Roosevelt plus train plus underground or something.
Yeah, plus tokens.
Yeah, whatever. He finds it and then he
He Googles like no man Googles.
yeah,
Earlier, he
who the
types in
fuck
something
puts plus signs
with
between
exclamation points also.
Yeah, whatever. At least he's not using Bing this time. But he finds the train, and it comes out of the train tracks because one more time, I know we've mentioned this
His dad
several
has a secret
times.
train that belonged to President Roosevelt.
exactly. And inside it is a computer where his dad sent the message in the beginning of the movie about Oscorp is doing terrible villain things in their basement, and they're trying to cover it up, and they tried killing him and all that. The message wasn't.
He created the spider has his own blood.
Oh
in it.
yeah. So apparently the fucking Spider-Man spiders turns out those are just spiders with Richard Parker's blood in them.
That's why they didn't kill Peter, because it has his dad's blood in it. So when they bite him, he
Who
didn't
the
just
fuck
get
is Richard
irradiated.
Parker? Where he has Did Richard Parker have fucking Spider-Man's powers?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
What's so
Franny, I
special
don't
about his
know.
blood? But okay,
Well,
also
the only reason it's his blood is because Peter Parker happened to get bit, and it would just irradiate his blood. If it wasn't the same blood.
It was a precaution in case Peter Parker accidentally got bitten by a spider. Not really, but that's what it feels like.
Oh, I should bring this up right now. Robert Orci and Alex Kurtzman, who wrote this, they're the fucking worst in the world. Okay, so they did like the Star Trek reboots, which are terrible, but this isn't every Star Trek movie ever, so I can't talk about that too much. But in Star Trek Into Darkness, that movie ends with magic blood that can cure all wounds. This movie has magic blood that will cure Harry Osborn.
I need his blood.
There's so much magic blood in their fucking movies. And this is the year after that movie came out.
Another thing about the blood. So Harry Osborn is dying of the goblin disease that came from his dad. Or actually, it's the goblin curse that takes the form of a disease.
Goblin curse.
And apparently the only way to cure it is to get the venom of the genetically mutated spiders. And Harry somehow knows that Spider-Man got bitten by these spiders, and that's how he got his powers. It's never explained how he figured this out. He just knows. And he determines that he needs Spider-Man's blood
So he asks Peter Parker, his childhood friend.
that he hasn't seen in 12 years because he got shipped off to boarding school.
He asks him if since he takes the pictures of Spider-Man for the Daily Bugle, and also J. Jonah Jameson is in this as a Gmail, as a new Gmail email. He asks him, well, you clearly take pictures of Spider-Man, so you obviously know exactly where Spider-Man is.
At all times.
Can you ask him if I could have his blood? And Peter's like, obviously not. That'll fucking kill you. His blood's clearly irradiated, which I know, but you wouldn't know. Whatever. I guess you know that. No. The answer is no. And then he's talking to Gwen, and he's like, oh, I feel so bad for not giving Harry my blood. So he visits him as Spider-Man to tell him again.
Tell him no
he's not going
again.
to give him his blood. And so he has the best line in the movie. You're a fraud, Spider-Man!
He doesn't even
And he
trashes yell
shit.
it. He's just like, you're a fraud, Spider-Man, and then just flips over a table and screams.
Everyone wants my money.
You're a fraud, Spider-Man!
And then do you remember what happens immediately after he flips over that
Franny,
table?
Of course I remember immediately what happens afterwards.
Peter
Peter
Parker,
Parker.
web swinging, fucking slams into a wall to go meet up with Gwen Stacy.
Who's going to Oxford because she's decided that she's going to go to Oxford, so she's leaving for England, which I guess is an added incentive for Peter to get back with her but also break up with her because of Ghost Dad.
Okay, we gotta mention Ghost Dad, but we also gotta mention... Okay,
This is insane.
this is just a small side note. Peter Parker is terrible at hiding his identity because he uses his powers
He's not
out
in
of costume.
I think
so many times.
we really need to cement that. And there's that bit when he webs the coffee.
He
when
literally...
he's
he's
like,
in
trying to
a...
help Gwen get away
He's in a packed Oscorp building
with security cameras.
with several security cameras because it's fucking Oscorp, and he webs a coffee mug into his hand out of costume. He is just Peter Parker, and he uses his webs, and no one notices.
And later he swings. Yeah, what we're talking about is he's swinging.
He swings
in
into a
full
wall.
Peter Parker outfit. Like he is not doing anything to make that. Like he's not in any sort of disguise at all. He's clearly Peter Parker.
When he swings away from Gwen, she yells Peter, and no one notices
And she
because
covers
of
her
course
mouth
they
and
don't.
goes, "Oh no!" Which was in all the trailers.
There are so many times where his identity should have been found out, and it never is.
Yeah.
It's,
As much as I enjoy those Aunt May scenes, Peter, don't do your fucking laundry in your laundry machine.
yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
We see in Spider-Man 2 that he goes to a laundromat. That detail is already taken care of in Spider-Man 2. And yeah, the rest of his clothes turn red, white, and blue, but he's not doing that in the fucking family laundry unit. A laundry machine is loud. There is a pretty good chance that she will find your Spider-Man costume, especially if you're washing it with the rest of your clothes.
Anyway, Ghost Dad.
Anyway, Ghost Dad. So if you remember from the end of the first movie, Dennis Leary, Captain Stacy, was killed by the lizard and said, Peter, my dying wish is that you're never with Gwen. And so he's with Gwen, but he's also putting Gwen in a lot of emotional turmoil because he keeps breaking up with her and getting back together with her.
They do it at least 3 times in this movie alone.
And with the first time that he does it in this movie, she's like, you keep doing this. Like, this is 2 years after that movie, and it just keeps happening.
Yeah, this is one of the least healthy relationships I've seen in a movie.
And we
It's
keep seeing,
horrible.
we keep seeing Dennis Leary just standing there.
The exact same, like, it looks like it was like a
You said a press photo.
Yeah, like a press image for the first Amazing Spider-Man that they just took out the background and they just like green screened him into a bunch of scenes because
only Peter can see him, and he's
only
always
Peter
in
can see
front
him.
of something else.
It is the exact same pose. He's making the exact same face. I'm like pretty much positive they used the exact same image and just put him in different scenes.
Yeah, it feels like that. Or
It's
they
so funny.
got Dennis Lear for 2 seconds on a green screen. And
Yeah,
he
got
just
him to take a picture.
Yeah, he just moves his head a tiny bit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, there it is. Now he's in the movie, and I bet he got paid for it. Which, good on you, Dennis Lear. You deserve it
Yeah.
for being in this trash movie for any period of time. Jesus Christ. Ghost Dad? Are you kidding me? We get a flashback to the end of this movie where he's like, the one thing I want you to do is not be with Gwen. And he still does it. He still does it constantly.
Yep.
He's like, I can't help myself, Gwen. I'm sorry. You're just so hot. And yeah, but also, bad.
That's not the point.
Bad, Peter.
But okay, back to my point. There was a point earlier. So I brought up the blood.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going back that far.
Yeah, there was a point to that. We got like super sidetracked. So Harry Osborn injects the spider venom that is left directly into his veins without making it like trying to make it into like a vaccine or anything for his goblin disease. He just injects venom straight into his veins. Doesn't die of poisoning of like because it's irradiated. And it's established that Peter only survived because it's his dad's blood.
Right. The way a vaccine works, also, you need a little bit of the disease. You need to be injected with a strand of the disease and then the vaccine. Because he needs to be exposed.
But no, fuck it. Just inject spider venom directly into your veins, and that's what triggers him to go full Green Goblin.
And he turns into
instead
a
of
Green
dying.
Goblin, which we should also talk about. Of course, usually it's Norman Osborn, and then it's Harry Osborn, like it is in the Raimi trilogy in the comics.
Nope,
and
Norman Osborn just dies, like in the beginning of the
movie.
movie.
And he is a goblin. He's
He
a
is a
goblin
goblin.
man, played by Chris Cooper, who's in the Bourne movies, also, by the way, which obviously there's comparisons in this movie to those movies. But yeah, he's got gross goblin hands, and he's just like, you had so much potential, Harry. You know what? The transformation with Harry, it's got like the seizure lights, which is annoying.
Okay, you know what?
There's that one really good shot that feels like it would be in a different movie with the like shoulder blades, and they go back into. It's gross.
In a different movie, his transformation would have been really cool. Only the transformation specifically.
Not the way it happens, or what happens afterwards.
Yeah, the way it happens is horrible. The Green Goblin as a whole in this movie is horrible, but just like the kind of like horror, like the like body horror transformation, that was pretty cool.
Right.
But it's in this movie, so it's bad.
Yeah. You know how earlier in this episode we said all the good things have bad things? All the bad things have other bad things layered on top of them. That's why we keep talking about so many. That's why we get sidetracked, because all the bad parts relate to other bad parts in the movie.
Yeah, me talking about the blood is like essentially the entire movie, because there's so many different plot points that are all connected to really dumb things that just lead to even dumber things.
There's also the guy in the surveillance van. The guys in the surveillance van, and then that other Oscorp higher up who are like watching Harry
Those
Osborn.
never come back.
And they cover up the Max Dillon thing, I guess. And Gwen finds out about it because they were in the elevator together. The only reason they're in the elevator is so that she'll remember, oh wait, he said his name is Max when he was talking to Spider-Man. I knew a Max from earlier today. Let's find out what's going on with him. The files are covered up, and now people are chasing me, and we're making out in the closet. And Peter, he got all those guys bump into each other, which is a fun little bit of physical comedy. And then he does the heel click, which is adorable, but still bad. Still bad that it was in service of such a dumb thing. So Aunt May is working at the hospital.
I love all the like really abrupt like shifts that we just do. Like there's just like a moment of silence, and it's just. Anyway,
so the secret train in the magic blood in service of Aunt May. She works at the hospital, I guess, just to show that she's struggling, because she mentions she's trying to pay for Peter's college. I guess
she mentions that she works she works like double shifts.
And so at the end, when Electro sucks up all the power, I guess it must be all the power in New York too. If the Oscorp, I don't know what you call it, the Oscorp like power generator or whatever. Because that must provide service to the New York airport, like JFK airport, and then to the hospital, because the hospital is running out of power, and the airport is running out of power, and there's that suspenseful moment where the two airplanes are going to crash into each other.
It
They
doesn't
don't,
matter.
and
'Cause
nobody
you know they're
fucking
not
cares.
going to.
Even if they did, why do I care?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of like literally
There's
like
so much weird plane stuff in this movie. It makes me think they got it from like a different canceled project, like Liam Neeson's Non-Stop.
the thing I don't get why we're supposed to care about the plane thing, because even if they were actually going to crash, there's nothing Spider-Man could do about it.
And there's,
So what's the point of showing us it? He can't do anything about it.
you know what would kill those two birds with one stone if you really want to have the plane thing? Have Aunt May go to fly somewhere so she's on the plane. So we have some sort of stake in that. So there's someone we know on there.
Yeah, not just like, oh, look at those scared pilots. They can't see because of the fog.
It's like, oh no,
They're gonna crash.
Oh no, and they can't,
It's like
tell them about it because of the electricity is out.
I'm too busy not caring about the electro fight happening to care about this.
Right, but I'm saying just basic screenwriting. If you're gonna have the two planes and you want us
there
to
needs
care,
to be some sort of suspense,
put
or else no one's
someone-
gonna care.
put someone we know on that plane, or else there's literally no reason for us to care. So lazy, just like everything else. There's like 7 screenwriters.
Yeah, and
but
all the
you
other
can tell
7
it's mostly
writers.
them.
I
'Cause
mean, I
they're-
don't know.
they're
I can't tell
infamously
who the
awful.
fuck wrote this because it's so many different movies.
Right. Of course it is. Yeah, like you said right at the start, this feels like so many things put together. There's the weird espionage stuff, and then there's a Spider-Man movie somewhere in there, and then there's like the
Weird like
electro-
romance plot.
and yeah, like 500 Days of Summer, which is a Mark Webb movie also. It feels like that, and it's like all these different things, and we still need to mention the director's name is still Mark Webb.
Yep, still Mark Webb.
Still funny, still great.
Thank you for this incredible movie.
I mean, this
Literally,
clearly-
the only reason you were hired was for an unfunny joke.
But honestly, I can't even put the blame on Mark Webb because it's so clear that he doesn't have any control of this. This is maybe the most corporate controlled movie ever. This is completely by committee. More
Possibly,
than anything,
yeah.
This is an example that's used constantly. When people talk about the worst example of setting up a universe, this always comes up. It's like this and The Mummy from 2017. Like those are the two, because this puts so many Easter eggs in there. You know, the Doc Ock tentacles and the vulture wings.
There's so much
There's
setup
so
for a
much setup
third movie
for
that
something that never
everyone knew
comes.
was not gonna happen because nobody liked the first movie, and this movie was worse. How would they have the money to make a third movie?
Well, to be fair, they had the money. This made so much money because people love Spider-Man, one of the most profitable characters. But nobody...
Why did they think anybody was gonna go
cared.
see it? Nobody liked this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. When in 2014, a little bit of film history for everybody. There was a famous Sony email hack that like leaked all these emails from all these executives at Sony. And not only did we find out there was an Amazing Spider-Man 3 in the works, we found out there was a Sinister Six movie, like not a Spider-Man movie, a separate Sinister Six movie, and an Aunt May spy prequel, where Aunt May was going to be a spy in her own movie.
These sound awful.
Yes.
I don't want another Amazing Spider-Man movie.
Right.
Why does there need to be a Sinister Six movie
I
that
don't-
doesn't involve Spider-Man?
I don't know.
Or in general, why does Aunt May need her own fucking movie that has nothing to do with Spider-Man?
That's what was going to happen, Franny. That was a serious thought that somebody had.
I think this is like
One of
The-
the most embarrassing movies ever.
yes, but I think this is the most like passionate I've ever been on an episode of this show, and it's taken a year.
Yeah, you've taken more of the reins than you ever have before. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I like
For-
coasting.
For once, Gabe doesn't have to do any of the work because I do all of the yelling for him.
I love it. Thank you, Franny.
You're
Honestly,
welcome.
It's a treat.
Yep, this is your rest day because I fucking hate this movie the more I talk about it.
And I still think it's fun, but it's so bad.
It's only fun to make fun of, and I'm enjoying making fun of it, but also it makes me so mad because it could have been so much better.
Of course it could be. There's so many
There's-
elements here that could have worked if anyone else was behind the
There
scenes.
were 2 better Spider-Man movies that came out before this one.
I would say there were 4 better Spider-Man movies. 4 technically better.
Okay, there
Spider-Man
were 2
movies.
good Spider-Man movies that came out before this one.
2
4
fine
better
Spider-Man
ones.
Movies.
There were 4 better ones, but 2 actually good ones that they could have taken inspiration
yeah.
from, and they didn't.
Yes, this is a remake of like my favorite superhero movie ever. You have Spider-Man 2, and then you have Amazing Spider-Man 2, one of the best superhero sequels, and what's considered to be one of the worst.
Because they are.
It's bad. It's bad. I know you said I was going to do a lot of defending. I really haven't. I really tried to just let it simmer and this is a bad film. Well, where do we go from here, Franny? Do we talk about the rhino?
Do you want to talk about the rhino?
I mean, I don't ever want to talk about any of this, but we have to, don't we?
Well, is that what we're going
let's
next?
do it.
All right.
We talked about all the other characters.
In the beginning of the movie, he has a really dumb Frankenstein tattoo over his forehead that I think is really dumb, and he has a really bad Russian accent.
Yeah, you can tell he's Russian because at the end of the movie, the rhino suit has like the Russian stars.
Oh yeah, he has like the fucking
Red Army.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
But at first, he's just petty criminal. He wants to steal uranium or something. He steals a bunch of stuff from an Oscorp.
Of something.
He steals Oscorp stuff, and he's just in a car, or he's in a truck. Spider-Man makes a bunch of super funny quips, even though he should be stopping him because he literally creates a pileup of probably 20 police cars. Lots of people definitely died. Guess it doesn't matter. He gets arrested, and then nobody really mentions him until the very end of the movie, where he breaks out of prison.
And we see the villain. Well, that's after when the villain basement comes in.
Oh yeah, villain. Okay, we'll talk about villain basement after.
After, okay.
Or do you want to talk about
it now?
Well,
I was just going to talk about, at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man, that post-credit scene with Kirk Connors in the prison cell, we see that man in the hat, and again, since we were all hyped for this movie, we all had conspiracies about who that was. We thought it was
his name again?
Mr. Fierce.
Yep, there we go.
We thought it was Norman Osborn at the end of that last movie. That was the theory. And then, of course, Norman Osborn was a sick old goblin man in a bed in this. And so, eventually, we found out that he is just Mr. Fierce, who I think is from a comic. No, he's from, like, a novelization of something, I think, from, like, the 90s. So he's fucking no one. And he just comes in at the end to walk into the villain basement where there's vulture wings and Doc Ock tentacles and the rhino suit. And he says, like, oh, I'm putting a team together, which was going to be...
Oscorp has all these things, and it's never explained why. Well, they just have a bunch of villain tech.
It was going to be the Sinister Six, obviously, because he's at the end of the movie, he's like, I'm
yeah,
putting
obviously,
a team together.
But it's just so stupid that, like, they make Oscorp, like, comically evil.
Right.
Like, yeah, of course, they're the ones that made the fucking Dr. Octopus tentacles and the vulture wings and the rhino suit because they're so incredibly evil. Like, I get it. Oscorp is like a corrupt. It's corrupt. Whatever. I can't even think of words anymore. Apparently, this is it. It's taking it to a point where like it's not even entertaining anymore. It's just stupid.
Oh yeah, no, it gets pretty annoying at that point. Yeah, I mean, I guess they just have different backpacks that they hand out, and that's your villain origin.
Yep, they're all attached to backpacks.
Doc Ock didn't create the tentacles, someone gave them to him. Vulture didn't create the wings, someone gave them to him.
All of them were just criminals that were recruited and given their equipment.
Which is exactly what happens with the Rhino at the end of the movie, where Paul Giamatti gets the Rhino outfit, and he's robbing a bank. He has paws, or hooves on the thing.
Yeah, and they mentioned that he has paws, but that's not how
wrong.
rhinos work. And also, yes, he does do the classic, like, 1920s boxer, like, stance.
Right. And he's got huge machine guns on his mechanized rhino suit, and...
He has, like, way too many points where he could very easily shoot Spider-Man because he's, like, in the open. Just doesn't.
Or shoot a small child.
Shoot a small child, which is probably something he would do because he doesn't care.
It's the kid. So there's the police, who, of course, we all love, and they're great. The police are there, and they're shooting at the Rhino. And who fucking turns up but the wind turbine kid that Spider-Man saves at the start of the movie shows up in, like, a Halloween Spider-Man costume, and he puts on the mask. I don't know why that mom brought him to that police shootout.
Also, I don't know why she's not, like, actually paying attention to her kid.
Hold your fire!
Hey, Spider-Man.
I knew you'd come back.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up for me. You're the bravest kid I've ever... Stay with me.
Until he runs right in front of her towards an armed criminal.
Who stops shooting.
Yeah,
goes,
who just stops shooting.
You Spider-Man! That's how he talks.
Yep.
That is literally how he talks. He's just the most fucking he is so hammy and cartoony in the wrong strong movie.
And it's how the movie ends. This is like the last minute of the movie.
Right, because Peter, after Gwen's death,
He spent every day sitting at her grave instead of stalking her like he did, which he admits that he did at least once a day sometimes.
yes, it's presented as endearing. Well, no, he says once a day, sometimes more.
yeah,
So
there
at
we
least
go.
Once a day.
At least once a day.
And we see
Probably
it. We
more.
see her
Yeah.
following her around.
We literally have to watch Peter Parker, a superhero, stalk a woman.
Yep. And
Something he
presented
admits he
as-
does every day.
Presented as endearing.
Yep.
Anyway, the Rhino.
Yep. So after like 5 months or what, it's some
An
amount of time.
undisclosed
Yeah.
amount of time.
They
Enough for lots
mention-
of seasons to pass.
Yeah, like a full like year. Spider-Man comes back because he has Gwen Stacy's speech that
On a
foreshadowed
USB.
her death.
Yes,
And it
because
was-
at the start of the movie, it's their graduation, and she's the valedictorian, so she gives the speech, and the whole speech is just the worst foreshadowing in the world, where she talks about, we just become stories when we're gone, but it's okay, and if you're a symbol of hope, you gotta stay out there, because being something's better than being, basically just being like, you know, Peter, at the end of the movie, once I'm dead, don't worry about it, just be Spider-Man again.
It's easy to feel hopeful, and that's when hope is needed most. Hold on to hope.
It's to become hope. I know it feels like we're saying goodbye.
Keep it alive, no matter how buried it gets.
I'll miss you all very much.
I feel like even if everyone on the planet didn't know that Gwen Stacy dies in every single piece of media she's involved in, that's still a horrible piece of foreshadowing.
Oh, it's
Because
bad.
giving an entire speech about how death is okay is literally putting a target on you for you to die by the end of whatever you're in.
Yeah, no, it's very blatant and bad.
Yep. But apparently Peter just has the entire speech on a USB.
There must not be a lot of storage on that flash drive.
Yeah, that must be a fucking incredibly tiny flash drive because it is literally labeled Gwen's speech. So I assume that's the only thing he has on that flash drive, despite the fact, no, that I'm sure that speech was not long enough to take up an entire flash drive, but whatever, that doesn't matter.
What camera angle is that coming from?
That too. Something
Who
that
shot that?
Yeah, something that bothered me a lot was that, like, it very obviously was not shot by Aunt May, even though that's how they wanted, like, that's how they wanted it to seem.
Or even Gwen's parents.
Yeah, they wanted it to seem like it was just, like, somebody recorded it and then just Peter has it or whatever. It is at an angle that is directly in front of her
A film angle.
that no human being is tall enough to be able to be at like eye level with her when she's standing at a podium on top of a stage. But yeah, that motivates Spider-Man to get back out there and stop Rhino from rhinoing.
And it's nice. It's a nice moment he has with the kid, where he's like, "Oh, you're doing a
Yeah,
great job,
that's-
Spider-Man. Let me take care of it." But also, it's exactly like the moment in Iron Man 2 when the kid is wearing, when Peter Parker is wearing like the Iron Man mask and he has the repulsor. My dogs are outside. I'm sorry, but it's exactly like that moment where the real hero shows up when the kid thinks he's gonna save the day, and then the hero's like, "Oh, you're doing a great job. Don't worry about it." It's the exact same fucking scene.
Yep.
So, just putting that one out there.
And that's how the movie ends. Oh no, the movie ends with Rhino taking a
Running charge.
a
He's
super
charging
great to
at
the
him.
face, essentially, like just directly like through his skull. Like he is not surviving that.
See, I don't think that super great even would have hit him in the face. I think that super great is going above him, and then Spider-Man's getting impaled on that tusk. I think Spider-Man
yeah, that's definitely
definitively
that's
dies
possible
after that.
too. I mean, they didn't make a third one, so that's possible.
Thank God. Right. Or would that have been better? Would this be less embarrassing if there was another one?
Only in the fact that considering this is worse than the first one, I assume the third one will be worse than this one.
Well, isn't that what we want? Don't we want it to just get worse and worse? That's what
I mean,
want.
it'd make another entertaining episode.
Another very long episode.
Another very, very long episode of me complaining about a superhero
I
movie.
can't believe we haven't talked about Felicia Hardy yet.
That was the thing that I was that I said we were gonna forget.
Felicia, played by Felicity Jones. So I don't know if they did that on purpose. Probably did, with fucking Mark Webb running around.
Who was Black Cat, by the way?
Yeah, so Black Cat's in this movie as Harry Osborn's secretary. Played by, of course, Felicity Jones is the star of Star Wars Rogue One. Or Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Thank God she did something after this, because she does nothing in this movie.
Nope, she's just there, like, she's there in one scene, and then near the middle of the movie, she goes up to Harry, and she's like, yeah, we still have the mutated spider blood that you need, so go get it.
Apparently she had more to do, but I don't think so. Like, there was a lot cut out. And we have to talk about something that was cut out, which was Mary Jane Watson was supposed to be in this movie, played by Shailene Woodley from, like, Divergent and Fault in Our Stars and all those movies I loved when this movie came out. Oh, both those movies came out that same year, actually. That's fucking weird. Anyway.
I mean, good thing she got out of this.
Yeah, you can still find the pictures of her with the red hair.
I don't even know. Where would she even go?
I don't know where she would go in this 5-hour movie, Franny. I have no fucking idea where she could fit in.
I want the web cut of this movie.
I don't. I don't want any cut of this movie. I mean, I'll take it because it is funny.
Yeah,
it's fun, but it's
no.
bad.
I don't. I would not want a longer version of this movie. This movie's 2.5 hours long already.
You can cut so much out. Okay, so should we talk about Gwen's death? Does that mean that we are finally starting to reach the end of this discussion?
Sure. I mean, what else do we have to talk about other than that?
Surely so much.
We've talked. Yeah, definitely. But
we just need.
We've
to stop
talked. Yeah,
this at
we
some
need to
point.
stop this, or it's gonna go on forever. We've talked about Spider-Man. We've talked about the villains. We've talked about.
Oh, I want to talk about the first scene with Harry and Peter. Not the first scene, but the next scene where they're walking around by the docks and he does he throws the stone with super strength. Another moment where he clearly gives himself away as a man with super strength. But
it's all on the wrist.
There's a moment that it's all on the wrist, buddy. There's a moment that always weirded me out about that. It was just the part where he climbs over the gate. He climbs over the weird fence and goes, "That's the question."
That's the question.
That's the question. That's the question.
And then he just kind of like turns himself around and just kind of hangs off it, like.
Yeah, just like Spider-Man.
Did they just tell him to do something weird?
Dane DeHaan is so bad in this.
Do we want James Franco, Harry Osborn back because he got sent off as New Goblin? So
you know what? I don't want Harry Osborn.
You know what? New Goblin is so much better than this one. Never mind.
Oh yeah, that's true. They're both awful.
Yeah, you know it's sad when
New Goblin is better.
When you're worse than New Goblin.
This has so many of the same problems that Spider-Man 3 does. Too many villains, too much crammed into one movie, too much backtracking. So that movie, it's Sandman killed Uncle Ben. In this, it's Richard Parker created the spiders.
Yeah.
We didn't learn. They did not learn from their mistakes at all. They just made it worse.
Gotta love that Spider-Man learns nothing throughout this whole movie.
He learns that sometimes if your girlfriend dies, it's okay. Just be Spider-Man again.
Sometimes it's okay to just, commit manslaughter.
Best
We gotta
for the
talk
worst
about
style.
Gwen Stacy first.
We have to talk about, oh yeah, we do. It's probably the best scene in the movie. It's not. I mean, there is one thing that ruins it, but it's still effective.
Web hand.
Why? Why can't it just be a web?
The web has fingers.
Her falling looks great. The next snap or her hitting the pavement is great.
The props
reaction
to
is
whoever
great.
did the audio too. They did really good.
Yeah, killer sound design in that. But the web hand.
The web has fingers and it grabs her, and then she either.
Also, Green Goblin doesn't really kill her.
Nope.
She kind of kills herself.
I mean,
she's just standing on that clock tower. And
partially,
she
kills herself for coming with Peter in the first place.
It's more of just an accident than Harry Osborn doing anything.
I think
'cause he doesn't even freak out at Harry after that.
It's kind of Peter's fault.
I guess so.
Because
it's less Peter's fault than it is in the comic, though.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, he did knock over the thing that breaks the gears so that she falls and then proceed to snap her neck on accident. So like 90% of the blame is on him, and then like 5% is on her and 5% is on Green Goblin. Like
But,
most of
I
the
mean,
blame ends up on him because
he's
he
not-
kind of inadvertently caused it.
He's not the one who put her on that clock tower, is he, though?
He is the one that made her fall off it, though.
Yeah, but she shouldn't be there.
She definitely
What's he
shouldn't be there in
gonna
the
do?
first
Like,
place.
I feel
Yeah,
like he did his best.
he
But
did do his
also,
best, but
she's fucking dead.
for how smart he is,
nonetheless.
I feel like he should have thought through that, like, that much force, like her.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Web
just
hand. He thought the web hand would
same.
save her.
It's the same arguments that people have about the comic. He should have known that, like, webbing her from that far would have killed her or whatever. But
The thing, well, when people talk about that moment in the comic, it makes me mad because it's like he's not the one who threw her off that building.
yeah, that one is definitely a lot more understandable.
But in this, it's like, well,
It's like she literally put herself there. She put herself in danger and then got kidnapped. So
And there's that one scene where Harry meets Gwen, and there's no reason for it, really.
Yeah, no, just I know who you are. You're Harry Osborn.
But I still think the neck snap is effective. I remember seeing that in the theater, all the surround sound. It was intense, but
Yep.
webhand.
It's a very loud snap.
It is. I mean, they went there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the webhand is dumb. But I can look past that because I think the rest of that scene is solid. Anyway, let's do some listener stuff because this movie has destroyed us.
Let's wrap this episode up.
Yeah. Jesus.
I'm
my God.
so drained.
We have so much stuff. We can't
yeah,
read it all.
you told me.
I'm
before.
sorry. I know. I just gotta tell the audience that we can't read it all. I'm sorry, but we'll read some of them because there's a lot.
Who would have guessed that people have strong opinions about a bad movie?
Well, let's just start with our regulars. Noah Salzman says, "I'm sure this stems from nostalgia and the age I was at when it came out. This was my most anticipated movie ever at the time, but I just can never bring myself to dislike it. Of course I know it's a convoluted, studio destroyed mess, but it just works for me somehow. The visual aesthetics, the cast, the music, the effects, it all just comes together and make a really fun and enjoyable film for me. Not even in an ironic way. I think it's a really good time. Definitely not my least favorite Spider-Man movie, that's for sure." Noah and I always have similar opinions. I think I definitely like this more ironically than genuinely, but I'm not completely against him on that.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that I disagree with everything that Noah just said.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
But I mean, that's fine. You can enjoy
Noah
it.
can take it.
I'm glad someone can enjoy it.
Right. I still enjoy it. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
Yeah.
But,
You just got to let everyone know that you do in fact love this movie
I
despite
don't love
it's horrible.
It. Well, yeah, maybe I do. I don't know.
I think you do, which I mean, you could still love it even if it's horrible.
Oh, yeah.
But like,
I love tons of horrible movies.
yeah,
You just gotta make sure you love enough good movies to love horrible movies. Spencer Price says, "Other people have said it, but the best live-action Spider-Man suit, hands down." Of course, I agree. "There's a lot to say about this movie, but I love about 60% of it and very much cringe through the rest." Probably the most similar to me. I would say more like 50%, 45 to 50%. I have liked this movie a lot more on previous viewings. I think watching it with somebody is probably... I feel like when you watch something with somebody, you see the flaws more. And so I think watching it with you, I was like, yeah, this is way worse.
I think watching it with me just made you realize how bad it is because all I did was complain about how bad it is and how many plot holes there are.
Oh yeah, well we tore it apart together. You know, it wasn't.
It's very similar to how this episode went.
Right.
Like we did it together, but I did a lot of it.
Spencer Price. Oh wait, sorry, I already said that. I don't like it when studios write the movies, and this was one of those because of Sony. Eventually, when my podcast covers these movies, I'm going to talk for a very long time about the deleted scene where Peter Parker meets his dad because I still can't wrap my mind around why they would cut that out. The subplot was more interesting than the entire rest of the film. That is a really good scene, but it doesn't make any sense. If you watch that scene, I'm sure it's on YouTube, it's very well acted, but it's very bad.
I'm sure it is, but I mean, with everything else that's in this movie, I didn't need more of a character that I didn't care about, even in the first movie.
Honestly, that would be a great scene if there was no Richard Parker in this movie, or even if it was just that dumb opening scene, or maybe just that scene from the start of the first movie, and then you have him show up at the end. That would be a good surprise, I think. But
yeah, it would be a lot better. Like
his stuff is the worst stuff because it doesn't feel like Spider-Man.
Yeah, it just feels very disconnected.
All the other stuff that's bad in this still feels Spider-Man-y. I think that's probably why I like some of it. Because it still feels, as dumb as it all is.
It's still in the spirit of Spider-Man, so
right.
like you can at least try to accept it.
Yep. Luke Crossan says, "In hindsight, this is not a good Spider-Man film, but when I originally watched it, the romance storyline and how it ends really hit me emotionally. I like Dane DeHaan as an actor, but every Green Goblin part of the film are the worst parts of the film. The film ended up being an overcrowded mess that seemed like it only existed to set up an extended universe. I do think it gets more hate than it deserves. Not super against that either. There's a lot here. I'll read one more. I'll read Tyler Thornton because he's usually pretty cool to us. So this was the first movie I ever saw in IMAX 3D. Got to the theater late and had to sit in the front row. My neck hurt so bad from sharply turning my head around for 2+ hours to keep up with Spider-Man swinging across the screen. It's an okay movie. Personally, would have liked to see where they were headed with this universe." Yeah. I think it's an okay movie.
Yeah, it sounds like I dislike this movie a lot more than most people do.
Yeah, because it's not good. But it's
really not.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad that there are people that can enjoy it a lot more than I did.
And Paul, I'll just finish off with Paul. He says, "Oh my God, he said it." So I asked him what he thought of Amazing Spider-Man 2 because I always ask him before these, and he said, "That's the question.
That's the question.
That's the question." You're great, Paul.
That's how we should have started off the episode.
Good work. Yeah, I should have
That's
asked
the
you if
question.
you liked it, and you should have said that. That's the question. That's an underrated line. It's
You
so
just
weird.
every time you say it, you have to say it more and more strained.
Well, first you gotta say it normally.
question.
You gotta say it normally, and then you gotta climb over the fence. That's the question. I wish you just fell down a big hill after that. I don't know why.
He
It's
falls into the ocean.
That's a funny image to me. Just, ah! So stupid. Anyway,
That is indeed the question.
going back to Paul, he says, I honestly don't think it's bad. It's too much fun. The Peter and Gwen breaking up too much is dead annoying after a while, but everything else is fun. I love when he writes her name in webs or something near the end. The thing I love about whenever we ask Paul is he never totally remembers what happens. Like last week he said something about like, oh, I love that scene if it's in that movie. Which I always love when he says
I mean,
that.
that'd be the same. That's how I would be if we just like did the episodes without me watching the movies, because like I haven't seen them in so long that I vaguely remember what happens in them, but I kind of get them mixed up. So like I don't know exactly what happens in all of these movies. She's like, yeah, that I like that thing that happened. If it's in this
If it's
movie,
in
it
that
might be in a
movie.
different one though.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Laundry Sheriff is a classic line. You can definitely say that, Paul, I guess. That's what he says to Aunt May during the laundry part. And Spidey with the fire hat is a winner. It's the best image in the movie. Somehow, it's the best image in the movie. It's just adorable. That's it. We gotta stop.
Yeah,
We'll never say everything, but we gotta stop.
Yeah, I think it's impossible to talk about everything, and I think you get the general idea of how we feel about this movie.
This will be out in like 3 weeks. Because this is a lot.
This is
in school starting.
Yeah, school is starting next week, so I'm sure the schedule is probably gonna get adjusted. Probably.
We'll see. Anyway, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at MarvelMoviePod. You can email us at MarvelMoviePod@gmail.com. You can find our DC stuff at DCMoviePod and DCMoviePod@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at FlipEgg, and you can find me on Twitter at FlipEgg, but the E and Egg is a 3. Almost got it. Tricked a little bit there. The Oxford scene is weird.
It's very
Where
weird.
he's
It's very
John
awkward.
Hopkins, a
Yeah.
young Oxford. It's pretty bad. Franny's not on social media because his phone was overcharged with the entire New York City power grid.
Yeah.
Is that good enough?
Fuck you, Electro.
Oh, and
fucked up my phone.
The Disney sign is in Times Square, and that's
Yeah.
weird.
Also, the Reebok sign or whatever. There's a lot of product placement.
McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's.
McDonald's. And
Yeah,
lots
that poor McDonald's.
Lots of and Blu-ray, lots of Sony product
Yeah,
placement, like
lots
always.
of lots of like very weird Sony product placement. Like not even on like modern products, like really
Oh
old
yeah, there's that
TVs.
CRT TV
Yeah,
that kid's watching it on.
like
There's
early
phones,
2000s Sony products that no one can buy anymore.
Lots of Sony Vio laptops. Anyway, whatever. Next week on our DC show, Superman 2. So that's definitely better than this, but
Yeah.
probably has about as many plot holes.
I'm looking forward to it.
See ya then. 2 weeks, X-Men Days of Future Past. And that'll be episode 52, which means we've done a year's worth
Yep.
of episodes if you measure it in weeks. All right.
Awesome.
Bye.
Yeah.
So sorry about this.
I'm sorry for yelling directly into a microphone.
Don't worry, I'll make it louder.
That's a question. That's a question.